Welcome to Life Coaching for Dance Studio Owners. Each week, we talk money, mindset, and self-care to help you live a more peaceful life and lead a more profitable business. Let's get started. Okay, welcome back to our final installment of Unapologetically Wealthy. In this series, we've dismantled the guilt complex around women and money, and we've exposed the harmful myths about wealthy women. Now, today we're getting specific and practical. If you're a dance studio owner listening to this episode is for you. We're talking about real problems that keeps dance studio owners broke. And no, it's not the economy, and it's not people don't value dance anymore. The truth is, most dance studio owners are sabotaging their own financial success through two critical mistakes that I see over and over again. In fact, I've made some of the same mistakes. So, by the end of this episode, you'll know exactly what the mistakes are, how much money they're costing you, and most importantly, how to fix them. Here's what I want you to understand. You can build a profitable dance studio while staying true to your values. You can charge what you're worth while still making dance accessible, and you absolutely deserve to earn a great living doing work that transform lives. Let me start with a story that might sound familiar. Last year, I talked to a studio owner. We're just going to call her Sarah. She had been running her studio for 8 years. She had 150 students, great reviews, and parents loved her. But she was exhausted, stressed about money, and seriously considering closing her doors. When we looked at her numbers, I discovered she was making the two mistakes that I see almost every struggling studio make. So number one, it was death by discounts, okay? She was offering a family discount, 10% off for siblings. It sounds reasonable, right? But let's do the math. Sarah had 50 families taking advantage of this discount. With her average monthly rate of $80 per child, that 10% discount was costing her $4,800 per year. That's enough money to give herself a $400 monthly salary increase. Now it gets worse. She also offered a $20 early bird discount for registration, and it sounds small, but 80% of her families took advantage of that. That's another $2,880 per year walking out the door. Then there was her competition team all-inclusive pricing. She thought she was being helpful by bundling costumes, costume fees, competition fees, travel, all into one monthly payment. But when we calculated the actual cost, she was subsidizing about $1,500 per competition student every year. And you're starting to see the problem, right? Sarah was literally discounting herself out of business while thinking she was being generous and competitive. All right, so mistake number 2 is backward budgeting. Now, this is a big one. We looked at the previous year's income. Let's say it was $120,000, just for the sake of argument. And she made her goal to be $130,000 for the following year. So that's a nice 8% increase, right? But this is what you never see people do. What do you actually want to earn as a studio owner? What salary do I deserve for the expertise, hours, and stress of running the business? How much profit does my business need to grow and thrive? When I asked Sarah what she wanted to earn personally from her studio, she said $60K a year. But her current model, even if she hit her $130,000 goal, would only pay her about $35,000 after her expenses. She was planning to underpay herself by $25,000 a year and didn't even realize it. This is backward budgeting. You're looking at what you made last year instead of what you need to make this year to live the life that you want. Now, I know this example is not exclusive to this one studio owner. I talk to people, and a lot of times, they're barely paying themselves. I've seen studio owners paying themselves as teachers, where just hourly rate based on their, hours that they teach a class. I've seen other people, they're just kind of maybe taking an owner's draw when they can remember to, and there's a little extra money. And I've seen people who are paying themselves, but they're kind of worried that they can't do some basic things to maintain their home because they don't make enough money. So let's fix this. I'm going to give you a formula that will help you change how you think about pricing and profit in your studio. So, first, I want you to calculate your dream life number. So, you might be wondering what that is. So, what salary do you want as the studio owner? Not what you made last year, not what you think you can get away with. What do you actually want to learn? Let's just say it's $70,000. Write it down. Now, I'm going to stop you right there. When you think of a number, there's something powerful about writing it down. Whether it's the number you want in revenue, the number of students, your number of your salary, just the act of saying it out loud, writing it down, putting it down on paper, it helps you to embrace this as a goal that you're working towards. So we've written down that salary, right? Next, I want you to think about what profit do you want your business to generate for growth? You can use this profit for improvements, for emergencies. Maybe it's something that needs to be replaced, new floors, whatever it is. Maybe it's an emergency savings account. Do you have one of those? Do you have emergency savings for your studio, let alone yourself? So, we're going to write that number down too. We're just going to throw out numbers to keep the math easy. 70,000 for salary and profit of 30,000, okay? Now you want to add a 20% buffer because there's unexpected expenses. So now we're looking at $120,000 in total profit that needs to come from your studio. That's your minimum profit target, okay? So that's the 70,000 in salary, that's the 30,000 in profit for the business to reinvest, and then a 20% buffer. All right. I hope you're still with me. Hang on there. So, let's say your operating costs are $180,000 per year and you need that 120 in profit. Your studio needs to generate $300,000 in revenue. So, if you have 150 students, that's $2,000 per student year or about $167 per month. That's your real number. Now, if that number seems high compared to what you're currently charging, you have choices. You could get more students, you could cut costs, or you could raise prices. There's only a few levers that you can work with here, right? When you do this, think critically about all these different areas because the solution for you is not going to be the same solution for someone else. But at least now you're working with real numbers based on your actual goals, not last year's accidental results, right? Now, the third part of this action plan, I want you to audit your discount structure. Let's go back to these discounts. Let's calculate the true cost of every single discount that you offer. So, a family discount, for example, let's say it's 10% off for siblings and you have 40 families with multiple children averaging 100 per month. You're losing 4,800 per year. That's money that could go towards your salary. Early bird discounts. If you offer $25 off for registration and 70% of your families take it, well, that's 120 families and 2,100 per year you're giving away. Competition teams, subsidies, and discounts. This is where I see studio owners lose the most. You think you're being helpful by keeping monthly payments low, but you're absorbing thousands in costume, travel, and competition costs. I also want to note that some people have an unlimited rate. Maybe if you take more than 5 or 6 classes, you have an unlimited rate. And then typically I see that around 250 to 300 a month. That's another area where you're having a massive loss of income because of your discounts. So I want you to take a moment, pause the episode, and list your discounts, list out your tuition, list out your magical number of what you want your salary to be, what profit you want your business to have to be able to reinvest, and then come back to the episode when you're ready to go on to the next part. Now, instead of family discounts, you could create a family package that adds value without reducing price. Maybe you want to throw in a pair of dance shoes, and that's a fixed cost, and it's not a percentage discount, right? Maybe you want to incentivize around private lessons, or maybe instead of an early bird discount, offer a payment plan. Maybe they don't necessarily need to pay less, they just want flexibility in how they pay. For competition teams, be transparent about the cost from the beginning. This includes this much training per week, um, this much for the competition, which covers costumes, entry fees, and then there's something for travel. You also want to make sure when you're looking at competition teams that you're covering your own meals, travel, accommodations for that competition for yourself and any other staff that you require to be there. Now that you've had a chance to work through these things, I want you to think about what most of us fear, and that's the handling the pushback, right? I know what you're thinking. If I raise my prices or eliminate discounts, parents will leave, right? My studio will be empty. Oh my gosh. So let's just share something that could actually happen, right? We restructure the pricing, eliminate the discount structure that was costing about $8,000 a year, for example. You know how many families typically leave? Like 3 out of 150. The truth of the matter is, when I've raised prices in my studio, we don't necessarily lose any more students than we would in a regular year. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. People will go and try different activities. They're trying to figure out what is their kid's thing, the thing that they want to pursue, they want to spend more time in, right? And so this is normal. Most of the time when people raise their prices, they are not seeing a massive drop off in student body. So, what do you say for someone who says, that's expensive for dance classes? You could say, I understand that budget's a consideration for every family. Let me share what this investment includes and why it's priced this way. Our students aren't just learning dance steps, they're developing discipline, confidence, and life skills that serve them forever. Our pricing reflects the quality of instruction, the individual attention each student receives, and the results we consistently deliver. I'd be happy to discuss our scholarship program if cost is a concern. You see, you can acknowledge without apologizing. Now, I did mention the scholarship program. When you have a studio that is profitable and you've got money to reinvest, you also have the opportunity to scholarship people who truly are in a financial need. You can actually help and be philanthropic, offer outreach if you have the money to do so. You can't give out scholarships out of an empty wallet, okay? So remember that. Now, you might hear people say, well, other studios charge less. And your response might be, you're absolutely right that pricing varies across the studios, and ours reflects our value. And you list the things that are your value and what you offer. We've chosen to invest in whatever it is. Maybe it's floor, professional development, whatever. And that's because we believe our students deserve the best possible experience. If cost is a primary factor, I can recommend some other options. But if you want the results our families consistently see, this is what that investment looks like. Now, here's another one. Dance should be accessible to everyone. And your response could be, I completely agree, which is why we work hard to maintain our scholarship program and offer payment plans. Quality dance education requires significant investment in training, facilities, and resources. Our pricing ensures that we can continue providing the level of instruction your child deserves while keeping the lights on and paying our teachers fairly. Remember, the people who complain about your prices are rarely your best students anyway. The families who value you and what you do will pay for that quality. So now I want to shift gears a bit and paint a picture for you. Imagine running a studio where you're not stressed about money every month, where you can afford to take a choreography workshop you've been wanting to attend, and you can upgrade your sound system without losing sleep over the cost, where you're paying yourself a salary that reflects the expertise and value you bring into your community. This isn't a fantasy. This is what happens when you stop undervaluing yourself and start building a business based on what you need to earn, not on what you accidentally made last year. Your dance studio isn't just teaching steps, you're building confidence, discipline, and creativity in the next generation, and that has enormous value. And it's time you priced it accordingly. So here's your homework. First, calculate your dream life number, what you want to earn, and what does your business need to generate to make that happen. Second, you're going to audit every single discount you offer and calculate what it's costing you. You'll probably find thousands of dollars that you're giving away unnecessarily. And then third, design your new pricing structure based on value and not discounts. Now, you want to practice your value communication. When parents ask about pricing, don't apologize or make excuses. This is not the time to hide under your desk. Confidently explain the transformation you're providing and why it's worth the investment. And be prepared that they might just leave. It's not the end of the world, my friends. Remember, every time you undercharge for dance classes, you're telling the world that arts education isn't valuable. But you know better. Dance transforms lives, builds character, and creates confident young people who go on to succeed in whatever they choose to do. Your success isn't just about you, it's about creating a sustainable model that allows you to keep serving your community at the highest level. It's about showing other dance teachers that they can build profitable studios without compromising their values. It's about proving that arts education deserves to be financially respected. You deserve to be wealthy. Your expertise deserves premium compensation. Your studio deserves to be profitable, and your community deserves the incredible transformation that only a well-run, financially stable dance studio can provide. Thank you for joining me for the Unapologetically Wealthy series. If this has resonated with you, please share it with another dance studio owner who needs to hear this message. Remember, you don't have to choose between profitability and passion. You can have both. If you're ready to begin one-on-one coaching with me, I invite you to visit my website, gingerhaithcox.com, and we will have the opportunity for you to book a breakthrough call on the website. When you do that, you and I will sit down and we will talk about you and your unique situation within your studio. We'll figure out what's got you stuck and what we can do about it. Go ahead and book that again at gingerhaithcox.com. I'll see you next time.